Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Amber Living Vlog, and this is Beyond Film School, and I'm Amber, and today we're talking about diversity in film. Now, why I'm going to talk about this is because obviously I am a female. If you hadn't noticed, I've had this channel for quite a while, and I haven't covered really anything to do with diversity in film, in the film industry, and I have covered women in filmmaking, but diversity across, all things like, race and sexual orientation and oh hell, I'm probably missing like a ton of them, but you know what I mean. I wanted to cover this because I feel like there's a trend going on that, there has to be an all-woman crew, or there has to be an all-black crew, an all-Asian crew, or an all-whatever crew. I'm not opposed to working with anybody that, wants to be a filmmaker. I feel like I almost lived in a bubble, because the problem that we're seeing now is that that we saw for decades is that nothing but older white rich men were making the films, and it was really hard for anyone outside of that demographic to make a movie. Where I grew up in Buffalo, inner city of Buffalo, and my high school and my schools were predominantly not white. I went to schools that had black folks, had Asian folks, and had my Latino folks. I didn't grow up with a bunch of white folks. My dad is Native, so I have that in my family, and my mom's Ukrainian, so I have a bit of a different background. I didn't grow up in suburbia where everyone is just rich middle class white folks. And when I got to college and I after college and being in the film industry and realizing that, yeah, actually diversity is a problem, I didn't realize that because I grew up in a high school that it was it was I would say 30% black, 30% white, and then there were maybe that's 60, 25% Hispanic, and then there were some Asian and maybe some Middle Eastern folks. So I didn't really grow up in a bubble, I guess you would say. I grew up in a different bubble because I thought everything was like that, and then when I got to the real world I was like, holy shit. Two different things. I'm watching a show and I'm working on a show. If I am watching a show, I will definitely realize if there's nothing but white people in it, and it kind of is that's not real, that to me is not realistic. And the opposite happens also when I watch an all-black film. Now, or, your Tyler Perry, or, I think the recent one I just watched and I absolutely love was Girls Trip with, Queen Latifah and Tiffany Haddish, which I fucking love that movie, by the way. So hilarious, so good. When you see them, everyone is black, and I'm like, in what world is that possible? And I didn't know this until I actually, was around different communities in New Jersey where it's there's nothing but white people in this pocket, and there's nothing but black people in that pocket, and there's nothing but Hispanic people in this pocket. And I was totally mind blown by, just these, just the single race areas, and it just was this doesn't make any sense. So if you are offended by anything I'm saying, I apologize. I'm just going from my perspective of what I grew up with and what I was seeing. So now when I watch a TV show and I see nothing but white people, I'm like, okay, that doesn't make any sense. It really is disturbing, because I'm I didn't grow up with nothing but white folks, in my life. And I noticed this when I watched the show called Electric Dreams. It's on Amazon, if I'm not mistaken, and there's a really cool episode, but then I noticed it was sci-fi, this futuristic type, genre, and there was just nothing but white people everywhere. I'm even background. I'm Jesus Christ. I'm there's not one person of color in this whole thing, and you definitely notice things like that. And I don't know if it's society today that's training my eye or what, but it's definitely disturbing when you're wait a minute, what the hell is that? Working in the film industry and from the start, working from the bottom, up to first AD, I have worked with all different types of people, but I do definitely notice today when, if I happen to be PA on a union show, I will notice if everyone above me, my key PA, the second AD, the second AD, additional second ADs, and then you have first ADs, I'll notice if they're all male. And I do not like when there's nothing but males working above me. And I don't know if that's a problem that I have, but I just find there's nothing but males. And when I look at the credits of any movie that I absolutely love, I look to see what person was the first AD. Was it a male or female? That's the first thing. Male or female. I mean, then you have... I will say it, that there are, in the AD department, I've seen a few women. I've seen a handful of women do, like, fucking stellar jobs. More white women than women of color. I've seen one first AD that was a Latina, and I don't think I've seen one second AD that was a black guy, and the rest of it all white people. Now, when you get to your crew members, there have been, women are like sprinkled in a little bit here and there, but that's it. And then you have nothing but older white males. Hell, I mean, it's rare if I see a black crew member. And I'm really going back to see, like, on all the union shows. So I'm not talking about the indie world just yet. Union... definitely white male dominated, for sure. I will say that, and it's a bit disturbing. But just a couple years ago, I was excited to see like women gaffers and women electricians and women grips. So, and even like I've seen like a couple. I mean, I've noticed that people who are gay. And they're like openly gay on set, and I love that. And they're not like the hairdressers or whatever. They're like, they're like a set dresser, not a hairdresser or makeup, because that's like the stereotype. It's like, oh, you're a gay male if you're a hairdresser, which is the farthest thing from the truth. When I'm working on indie stuff is like, I mean, it's totally different. I've worked with way more female directors. I've worked with way more female directors of color. I've worked with, a lot more, diverse crew. Like, it's not just white guys. And there's nothing against white people or white guys. It's just we gotta mix it all up. We gotta give everyone in there to get certain perspectives, and people think differently. Just from your background, wherever you're from, you definitely think differently, and I think that's important in filmmaking. I mean, who wants to see an elitist story all the time? I don't. I'm sick of seeing them. And for a while, when I was a part of this filmmaking monthly challenge, the movies that were produced were always these like, oh, I'm so rich, and it's like this elitist thought, and like, oh, my husband's a lawyer or a doctor or something, and it's always like it's always based around these rich people, and I'm like, that's not the real world. What world are you living in? But maybe that is the world. Maybe that filmmaker was a rich person. I have no idea. But I mean, I honestly, coming from a low income background, am sick of seeing this like elite rich people story, and that's just where I'm from. Like, that's just where I'm coming from. Like, I'd rather see, stories like The Florida Project. That is an amazing movie because it's not a rich person story, and it's like a real story about like real poverty in Florida or whatever. And then there's another one I just watched, which was totally amazing. It had Shia LaBeouf in it. It was like from 2006, and it was called American Honey, which I thought was another great friggin' movie, and I related to that movie on so many levels. But so yeah, if you want to watch movies like that, you'll seek them out, but not many of those really awesome movies come out, because it's just like, who wants to live in reality? Most people go to the movies to get away from reality. There's also something I have a bone to pick with, as far as this all women crew thing. Now, it was trendy for a while, and the first people who did it, I don't know who did it. I don't know who the first people who were like, let's do an all women crew. I don't know who it was. I should probably find out. I mean, kudos. That's awesome that you want to work with nothing but females. But from where I'm coming from, I like to work with all different types of people. And not to say I don't like working with women, but I don't want to work with an entire crew full of women because you need the balance, I feel like. And I struggle with this thought, because I see it online when people post in NYC filmmakers when they need people. It's like, okay, we're hiring only females. And then, you're eliminating the males out of the whole thing. And I don't know how I feel about exclusion. I don't know how I feel about excluding people just because they're male. Just the other day, I was apologizing to a female filmmaker because I couldn't work on her show. So I recommended someone that I absolutely love, and I was like, he's awesome. And I apologize, I'm sorry he's not a female, because I don't know if you're looking for all female or not. And like, the fact that I have to say that out loud is like, it's for me, I'm like, I apologize because I recommended an awesome person in film, but because he's male. Like, we've gotten to a time where you're apologizing for recommending someone that isn't, you know, a minority or a female, and I feel bad about this. Like, I don't know, but lo and behold, I mean, he didn't get the job. I don't know, but it turns out it was because of a location thing, not a, you know, because he was a male, but he was almost hired, so, you know, whatever. So, I mean, how do you guys feel about diversity in film? Behind the camera and in front of the camera. I don't know how I feel about having your entire crew be just one thing. I don't know if I agree with that, because in order for things to be diverse, you need Black folks, you need Hispanic folks, you need Asian folks, you need women, you need men, you need white, you need everybody to work together. You need transgender, you need gays, you need straight people, you need everyone to work together to, you know, in order for it to be diverse. Because if it's all one race or all one, you know, gender, that's not diverse in my eyes. That's really not. I may have a unpopular opinion about diversity in film. I definitely think there needs to be more of it, but I'm just not okay with just one type of person for all the crew. But if you think about it, it's like, well, back in the day it was all white males, really. It's like, Jesus Christ, for a long time everyone else was excluded. So it's like, I have this like internal struggle, because I'm like, I know how it was when film first started. So it's like, I don't know. How do you guys feel? That's it for this topic for this week. I feel like this is a bit touchy, and I feel like maybe who knows, I may have unpopular views, and I may get like a slew of comments where people are like, what the fuck is she saying? She's totally wrong, blah, blah, blah. And I understand we need to push forward with getting people in the film industry. And, you know, that's why I do what I do, because I feel like, you know, it took me so long for me to get into the film industry, being a poor friggin', you know, female wanting to work in the film industry. I mean, I didn't have any contacts or anything like that. So this is why I have videos, because they're free and anyone can get any type of help they need. Just email me, be like, hey, I have questions. And I try to help as many people as possible. If you want to work in the film industry, then that's you know, that's what I do. Speaking of me helping people in film, I have a bit of an update for the production training program. I am almost there. I have my website almost done, and I am about to email everybody that has subscribed to the mailing list about the information about the production training program, and I just have my reservations. I'm almost there. I'm going to release it, because I feel like it's not that there's a lot of pressure on me, but based on what projects I'm working on, I think about how I can help all the people who apply and get into the program. Because I mean, there's a time factor here. It's like, well, how long is it going to take for me to get on set? How long is it going to take for this job referral? Blah, 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 blah. So, I mean, it does take time, because right now all the projects that I have are not in New York City, and that's a bummer. They're like, you know, the producers are not trying to bring on extra folks, and they can't pay PAs, and it's like, I'm at a crossroads. You know, I feel like if I'm holding off, that's okay. Because if I have no job opportunities for, you know, the people in my course, then I don't feel like I'm ready to release the program yet. But I am going to give the info. My class, I've delayed it, because I know I said May 11th, but it's not going to be May 11th. I'm pretty sure it's going to be August 18th, because I have to schedule it after I'm done with this feature in the summer. And right now I'm going into prep. I know it's kind of early, it's May, but we're just going to start like scouting very, very soon. And I just, you know, we had a meeting for scheduling the whole movie, and I mean, here's the thing, is that I can take PAs as intern basis, and I just feel bad doing that, because if you're on set, I want you to be paid, and that's part of the whole program. So I will release information soon, so if you want to be part of the mailing list, there is a link below to sign up for PA training. I am also doing resume reviews if you want that help. I mean, I have a Facebook page. It's slowly getting more and more likes. Like my Facebook page because I have things going on there. I have, you know, photos, movie set memes, funny things that I do, things I'm doing on set, all kinds of things. And then my Instagram, Beyond Film School. So if you want to know what I'm up to or what sets I've been on or anything like that, I have Instagram, Beyond Film School. Check it out. Follow me. So that is it for this video, and I shall, you know, see you guys next week. Or whenever. Or sometime. I don't know when the next time I'm gonna make a video.